Hey, brother, how are you?
Doing well, bro. How are you?
You know what? I won't lie. I'm feeling a little bit low energy right now, but you know what? We got to get up, got to find a reason to get up in the morning, got to find a reason to get motivated. And, I'm like feeling that right now. So I'm glad to talk to you. I'm always inspired when I get a chance to see you, hear you. I get that energy, man. So it's getting me
Same.
inspired right now.
Of course, same with you. Always, putting up those work. So it's good.
Yeah. And, I would say, today I think this is what I want to talk with you about today, special to me, close to me. I know it is to you too. It's about getting off our butts, fitness, why wait? Do it now. Things let's get out there, get healthier, right? There's a lot of this conversation that's going out today where I've heard people, during the holiday time, hey, I'll start tomorrow. Oh, I'll start at the new year. I'll start in a month. I'll give it 2 weeks. A lot of that is understandable with being with family, being with loved ones, being caught in the moment. But you know what? That those same people, and I was one of those people, I would always make an excuse, give a reason and say, hey, I'll just start later, right? It's always going to happen. It's going to keep going. And I always ask people listening right now, like, ask yourselves, how often have you said that, right? How dedicated are you to want to change not just your health, but it impacts your lifestyle and your mental state of making you feel a little bit better than where you were just, if you weren't working out or doing anything with movement or fitness. So to me, I want to cover that today. And I think, what I want to start out with, Ray, is, what do you hear from people, number one, that are always saying, hey, let me start tomorrow. You know, what are kind of the generalities that you're hearing? Because I hear a lot. I've heard a lot just this past
Yeah.
holiday season.
Right. I think that especially with fitness, well, anything in general, but I think, fitness is probably the harder thing because it's so auxiliary, right? Like it's not your first priority, to be honest, right? For a lot of people, health is not really a first priority. Like it's usually like something else. And like you have to try and fit in health somehow, whether it be like exercise, eating, whatever. And we're a society built on comfort. So, if I'm comfortable right now, why am I going to change anything to, you know, to my process or to my routine? So it's really hard. I think that what a lot of people are saying is like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow because I think there's a couple things. Honestly, I think it's just the fact that it's something new that you have to change, and change is really hard. And then also, I think it's just the mind thinking I have to do more than what I've done in the past. And it's just going to take such a Herculean effort to try and just get started, you know? So exercise or changing your diet or, meal prepping or what have you is going to take so much work. So I think that's the hard part is just getting the first initial step to go is probably the hardest part. And I think when they say like, oh, well, I'll do it tomorrow is more of an excuse to delay what they really want to do. And I think that's me personally from all my years training, coaching. It's kind of usually what happens is, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow," is the fact that I don't know if I'm able to take on this responsibility right now and actually commit to it.
Right, right,
Once you do it, it's like, oh man, I'm committed. And then I don't, I just feel like there's a lot more factors than just like,
right, right, right.
you
And
know,
and then I'll ask you this, right? As you like you're doing, I've coached some folks up too, and through the years, whether they're trying to eat better, whether they can't get out, they may have a disability. They may have the inability to do anything physical as far as walking. But
right,
one of the things I was telling, one of my clients before, I was like, hey, why don't you just eat a little bit better? Doesn't mean you're eating less. Just eat,
right,
put some better ingredients on. And there's ingredients out there. Don't get me wrong, guys. It's not expensive, right? There's things that, yes, you have to go. I'm not trying to tell people, yes, you have to read labels, but you do kind of, right? Because hey, there's some bad fats, there's some bad cholesterols out there. And I'm talking bad, not the good ones that you don't want to put in your body. Kind of like to allude back to what you were saying. People will say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." You're right. Absolutely. Number one priority, hey, make sure there's a roof over the house, right? Make sure you're working, you're doing those things, you're taking care of that. Then after that, what I bugs me. If I talk to some of my, clients and, I'm there to support them, give them the inspiration. They'll say, oh, yeah, hey, I was just so busy. I'm like, okay. I said, did you have 30 minutes to go get on your PlayStation? To get on your PC to
Right.
play? That could have been 30 minutes that you could have at least done some movement. Even if you didn't go outside, it's crazy, it's windy. Go do like a hit workout. Go run in place for 10, 12 minutes, with a 20-second break in between. Or hey, drop that donut or drop that, coffee or Starbucks or whatever drink it is that has all that sugar, right? Processed sugar. And like start better. But what it is people start, they keep making excuses, right? And it's like start making progress now. And for me, I always tell people self-care is discipline. You nailed it earlier. Discipline is everything. If you're not disciplined to be consistent and persistent, it's not a luxury, guys, right? You got
Right.
to put yourself first and give it your best. Otherwise, you're going to fail not just yourself, but the people around you that are counting on you, that are caring for you. And it is true. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else. And if you don't make your wellness kind of like make time for it, right? Think about this. You'll be forced to make time for your illness later.
Yeah, that's the
Think
hard
about that
part.
quote, right?
I just
If you don't
yeah.
make time for your wellness now, you'll be making time for your illnesses later. So
Right.
again, eating right if you can, getting out and trying to be active or just, trying to do something that gets a heart rate up, right? And honestly, and I think that's the thing that I battle with some of the same people you said, hey, I'll wait till tomorrow, and great. But that I hear that story a month later and they're still not doing anything. And I'm thinking to myself, you can't even get 15 minutes, 10 minutes out to maybe
Right.
do something simple as run in place or kind of just high knees or bounce on your feet.
Yeah.
And to me, you're just selling yourself short on that. That's honestly, don't you think that's excuses, right? Because again, if you're a caregiver, you're doing something, you have to be there. Everything else to me, outside of providing for the family, are just excuses.
Right, right. I think, what's funny is, we think we have to cut in time for other things, right? When really you could be doing something very simple as like, let's just pretend like you're watching TV, like watching Netflix or whatever.
Right.
And as you're watching, you can just be, just lightly jogging, as you're doing it, being very active, or you're on a call on your meetings or something like that, and you're just walking in place, or just, yeah, like you said, high knees or something like that. Not given like, being like, sweating profusely during
Right.
these meetings, which would be awesome, but, just, being active. And we try to think that we have to do more when in reality it's just the movement. That's all you really need, taking, like you said, 15 minutes out of your week just to think, I will not get fast food today and I'll just have this granola bar and yogurt or something like that, right?
Right.
So it's just conscious decisions that probably will turn into habits over time, but it's just that initial step. Then I think whenever I try to tell people to like work out or eat better, like you said, just take a little bit. If you just showed up to the gym or if you just did like burpees in between like commercial breaks. They have commercial breaks nowadays. Yeah. Yeah, Yeah. Yeah. So, like like okay, there's a lull in like the show or something like that, like get get moving a little bit and then go out doing the regular thing. And then all of a sudden, like just showing up for yourself. So yeah, just showing up for yourself in those little moments creates those little habits that just kind of snowball in to more things. And you're like, oh, okay. Because you won't see the results, right? You won't see any results for another 3, 4 weeks if you're consistent, right? So that first
Yeah.
one is like, okay, whatever. I got it out of the way. Second one, third one, fourth. You're up to like, 2 weeks now. And all of a sudden you start feeling good and you're noticing the changes and you're going, actually, this is actually working. So it's those little things you have, but it starts with the first step, which is just starting. And it doesn't have to be a huge leap. It just has to be one single small step to get you rolling, to get you the next one and the next one and the next one. So until you actually make it something a part of your life and, make it a lifestyle instead of just being an aspiration for, the new year. Right.
Right. And honestly, I love what you said there because I always think of things that inspire me because, I'll share this, this story, and you know this because you've known me for a long time. I was in my shoot 240 range, 235, 245 range. When I was younger, I was still very athletic, running, 4.3, 4.2, 4.3, 40-yard dash. Played football, and I was just very athletic, talented, and I've worked my tail off. But what I didn't do, and you know this, and I shared it with you guys, is I didn't watch what I ate, right? I could have got up and I did have these traits like, oh, I'll do this right now. Yes, I was younger at the time,
Right.
but as we get older, our body, we have to do more to maintain it, to slow down father time, right? And,
Right.
you know, to me, what I always told myself, honestly, this is something I hope, people listen to. It's like, I was waiting for the perfect time.
Mm,
And to me, that's just
yeah.
a fancy way that I was like saying, hey, I'm going to quit before I start. Right.
Exactly.
That's the thing. And excuses don't burn calories. Actions does, guys.
Yeah.
For me, what I had to do was I just went, so all of a sudden I just snapped. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do something I've never done. I'm uncomfortable. It's going to suck. Started eating better, meaning, I tried to do what I can to just really eat. I don't want to use the word buy these expensive foods, but it's healthier. Substituted the fried foods, my fried lumpia, fried Shanghai, adobo fried rice, and all these
Right.
beautiful things, delicious things, into just eating it less, very less, and in moderation. I wanted to eat, like you said, something with granola, oatmeal, something that had more fiber, right? A lot more different liquids, no more sugar, right? And I really wasn't a big soda guy to begin with, but soda is one that we could go into a different segment later, where these high sugar processed foods are bad for us. What I did is I made that choice, and it was very hard the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I felt lethargic. I felt like when I was jumping on a scale just to see what I would do, I was like, oh, I actually gained a few pounds. But guys, those few pounds, as I tell our clients, it's not because you're eating or you're gaining bad weight. No, because you're putting good food in. That is the fuel to get rid of the excess garbage that you're putting in your body to begin with when you're starting off. The challenge now is after those first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as you said, is the maintenance, is the consistency to do it, because it's easy to fail. It's easy to quit after 2 weeks, because that's why, people stop. Just like going into the new year, right? People will get into the gym January 1st. They'll try to do these things, and kudos to them for trying, but then they stop within 3 weeks. That's when 90% fail or stop doing. I don't want to say fail. Don't make it to February, right? Like everyone says New Year, but for what I'm trying to say here is it took 3 months, right? And when I say 3 months, it was a transformation. It was a transformation of not just the physical health, which was great, but it was mental. It was that callus that I was building within my mind to be able to say, you know what? Now I'm going to be disciplined. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to pick this up. And I started building the habit, like you said, where, you know what? I'm going to get a little bit, consider it a little on the edge, maybe a little bit over the top, but it's not over the top if it makes me feel better. Where in between a commercial, I'm going to get up and just bounce around, right? Or do some push-ups if I could do it. But I kept wanting to move, right? And that's the whole thing about, again, winning starts the moment you stop negotiating with your excuses. That to me is the biggest thing.
Yeah. What triggered you to say like, okay, I'm done? Like, what was that? I think moment, or if you can recall back, what was that part? And you were like, I gotta change this, and like you actually made the decision. What helped you get there, or what made you think of what you needed to do in order to, get what you wanted? What was that one thing, or if you can kind of
Yeah,
give us
no, you're talking many years ago before social media was blown up, right?
right,
Maybe 2010-ish or before 2010, 2008, 2009. But honest to God, I just looked in the mirror and I had no others inspiring me or anything like that. Yeah, I was already frequently going to the gym to say, "Oh, I'm strong, I'm doing this," but I never once went in and said, hey, I'm comparing myself to other people. That's the wrong mindset, right? You're competing against yourself. It was me looking in the mirror at my face and just saying, you know what, you got to do better. And I knew that I already knew the answers. I knew that I just felt lethargic, and I knew it was what I was putting into my body. Then I caught myself because I had an epiphany. I'm like, my gosh, I keep saying I'm going to go tomorrow. And that was 2 months ago. And I'm like, what did I do yesterday? And I think what I was I started hearing family members get sick, and, cousin, uncles or whatnot, and people that, in our, in our culture, that some of them love to eat foods that cause high blood pressure. they cause high cholesterol. And I would hear these stories from, from my mom and dad of people getting sick, and I'd ask, what is it? And it would be that. And then you automatically, I'm like this. So let's say part of that, and also just realizing I was making excuses, it just triggered me. It just one day it just hit me. I can't
Right.
call it what it was, but it hit me. Then I also said, you know what? I love my family. I love everybody. I'm like, I got to be around. I have to be around and be able to be here for all of them. And if I can't take care of myself, I can't take care of them. And that was what changed my life, right?
Got it.
Honestly. And then after that, it's funny. I started doing the crazy things. I'm like, you know what? I want to get up at 4 a.m. and do these things because no one else, it wasn't because it was a competition or anybody. I was just making stuff up. It's kind of like, you heard about those stories of Michael Jordan, right? I'm not by saying I'm that guy. He's the GOAT, but he would make up stuff to inspire himself on the court because he was already the greatest ever. For me, I'm like thinking, what can I tell myself to get me up and going? So I had to make stuff up. I had to lie to myself to say, hey, this person's talking bad about you. Whatever got me inspired.
Motivated.
From my case, honestly, I get angry. And you've seen this when I play sports, when I work out, and do this. I'm out there competing against myself, and
Right.
I'm the hardest one on myself. So that's to answer your question. There was a lot of that, and
Right. Right.
the consistency was a hard part, man, because you got other things, other factors in your life that are going on, and you have to balance. And sometimes you won't have that, that pattern, right? Like, hey, this is my pattern. I got to go 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. Sometimes you'll have to wait till later in the day, right? But you have to make a sacrifice for that, and those choices, because what we do today impacts tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, did you have a lot of support, like, or is just like kind of your own thing, like, like,
Yeah.
do it, because you know how it is. There's a lot of family members or friends that are like, it's almost like they want you to fail sometimes because they know they're not doing that great, right? So you kind of have to like do this stuff on your own.
No, I love what you just said, because hey, we're close. We're
Yeah.
close with others. I wouldn't say that it's that they want you to fail or our friends would want to fail. I think it's because they themselves are realizing like, well, hey, he's doing it, they're doing it, and I can't do it. And they're making the choice, the conscious choice to not do it. And I've talked to those close, friends, family of mine. I say, hey, do this, it'll be better. But they're thinking about something else, and I don't blame them. Like, again, survival is survival, but you continue to get stressed out. And what's the outlet if you're not doing any type of exercise or movement? What's your outlet, right? Could be something with drinking, could be drugs, could be whatever abuse that they're going to, substance abuse, whatever. But it's like, I don't know. But my point I'm saying is, if I've always felt that when I've been talking to them, like, hey, I'm doing this. Oh, hey, doing this. I'm like, hey, I always tell them, like, dude, it was hard. You could do it too, though. When people say how long it takes, I'm like, you don't even have to exercise. If people say, oh, my knee hurts, my ankle hurts, eat better, or just eat better ingredients, things that less fried, right? And I love fried. You know me, I'm a potato guy. I love
Right.
fried potatoes, man. Any way you give it to me, it's moderation, right? And I do think I do feel it sometimes with people, because you'll see sometimes if you walk in a room, there will be people you've known forever, people you've known for the longest time, that you could know they're judging you. But my point is, I don't look at that as a negative. I go back to them, and if they're themselves may not be or have shared like, oh, I want to do this, but I can't because I got to do X, Y, and Z, I'll try to inspire them to go do it. I'll try to coach them up. And I've given them, plans, to follow as far as starters for like, hey, try this general, eating plan. It doesn't mean that, first I ask them obviously if they have allergies or whatnot, but my whole point is a couple of them did it. I had a guy that was one of my closest friends, he dropped like 60 pounds within 3 months just from
Awesome.
eating, barely walking. But what was it? Consistency, persistent. And the biggest thing he told me when I asked him the question you asked me, he stopped making excuses, and he said, so, hey, I don't want to keep looking in the mirror making excuses. I had to do it. I just had to.
Right.
And then what he told me, the outcome was he felt better mentally, was just more sharper. And then he also loved the fact, and I told him some people it's more important to them than others, but he's like, yeah, I started looking better too. I'm like, yeah, the
Yeah.
physical part, the body sculpting stuff, that's just an indirect benefit of eating better. Well, wait, for you though, I mean, here's my question to you, right? You're training these clients as well. And for you, when you're going through this, you're a badass martial arts person. I've known you forever. You have your challenges too. Let's talk about that, right? Like today, I woke up this morning. I told you I was just, I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to go to the gym. I'm like, but seeing and talking to you now, I'm inspired. I'm going to go right after we chat today. I'm going to go do something, right? But
Yeah.
what got you to do what you're doing to get it going? And then when the days like whenever you have it where you're feeling down and out, what do you do to get yourself inspired?
I mean, fitness for me is like breathing, right? It's hard. It's really hard for me to actually stop a day, not working out, not moving. I think that like you'll see me shadow boxing in the mirror, like, right before my shower or something like that. Or
Yeah.
I literally have weights in my bathroom because
Love it. Love it.
because I'll like work out right before I go take a shower or something like that. And yeah, I literally, it's so bad. I just have fitness stuff all around the house. So I mean, I think like working out is not a problem for me just because it's always in my mind. I think because of the caliber of athletes that I train, they push me to be at a certain, pace. So it's a little different, I think, because one, it's, I've been doing it ever since I was 8, and that's over over 30 years of experience, right? Just doing it. And so it's just ingrained in me. I think for people who are starting though, the hardest thing is just getting yourself to the gym, right? Or making time. I think that a lot of times, whenever I have like a new client that's just starting off, they feel overwhelmed, obviously. But as a coach, I'm always like, "Hey, you showed up. You showed up to our session. That's like the biggest thing. Like you didn't call, you didn't text me or say that I can't make it today. Like, can we do it next week or what have you?" And I think that's also a big thing with certain things for people. For something, they have to do it, right?
Right.
When you are accountable. And that's kind of one of the reasons I asked about support is because, it's so much easier to like not to tell yourself, um, I can do it tomorrow. I'll just make it up tomorrow. Right. But then when you have somebody there, like a coach or a friend, who can say like, "Hey, did you work out today?" And then all of a sudden you're like, "Yeah, you know what? I didn't do it." And all of a sudden, like you start getting more motivated to do it. Or you have a coach that says, "Hey, I'm here. We can do this, what have you." And if they're not there sometimes, it's so easy to slack off. I know that's why I usually check in with, you, right?
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
we're doing
Yeah.
like business stuff, whatever, we check in every now and then and be able to say like, "Yeah, yeah, man, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm over here and, like I didn't get this done." And, you'll give me some words of encouragement or maybe like check me in certain ways. And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. I should get back on that stuff." Like I should get back on my routine and what have you. And that's really great. We're blessed, right? We're blessed that we have each other
Yes.
to, you know,
100%.
to run all these things back and forth, whether it be like fitness or business or whatever, family or what have you. So it's, like I said, always a blessing for me to have you in my life.
But no, same here too. I mean, I would say the same, right? I mean, you asked that question, and I love what you just said too. Like, hey, you get inspired. People, your clients, you're responsible to, and you got to maintain. You also want to show up for them. Same thing, right? Whether it's family, life, clients, health, love, whatever the case is. Like I love what you said, and checking in with people. Some people don't have, support,
Right. Right.
could be even within their own house, right? So
Right.
there's opposites of where people, are not going in necessarily as active as they may want to be for whatever the reasons are. But to, like you said, sometimes the support is on you. Just have to do reminders, and, I would say, funny thing I've always do, I put reminders on my phone.
Hmm.
I still to this day have it pop up. I don't know if you ever see it when we're together. It says, "Do not eat bad food." 3 times
Nice.
morning, lunch, dinner. And then it's a trigger just to remind me how far I've personally come as far as,
Right.
hey,
Right.
I get caught up. You could be with family, you could be with anyone. And you're like, all right, you see big plates of these, I'll just have a little portion, or I'll have, again, if I'm already knowing that I just burned a ton of calories eating, again, this is obviously after being disciplined and going through the fact, but I know my body. Everyone will know everyone's body is different. Everyone knows how their body consumes food. But for me, I know like, hey, if I'm done with a big workout, I could go in and eat some good amount of protein or good carbs or whatever it is, or adobo fried rice, which is kind of like a lechon kawal.
See?
That's like my downfall, man. But, you know, I, I think in closing, right? I think I always tell people, and I think you'll agree to this and chime in too. It's like, you don't need a new year to make a change. You just need a
No.
new day. Like today, discipline is loving yourself, guys, right? Enough to do what's hard today for a better tomorrow, and stop hurting yourself with later. I did it. I kept saying later, I kept saying, oh, tomorrow, start healing yourself now. Stop making excuses, right? And movement is medicine, and it's free.
Right.
Get out there
Right.
and clean your vitality, people. And the only bad workouts, the one that didn't happen, that was the one I'd always tell myself, if you don't go in, man, it's a bad workout because you never got into the gym. I like what you said. I just walked through the door, right? Business wise, you're the CEO of your own life, right? Fire
Hmm.
your excuses, hire your results. And my last one in closing is, wisdom is knowing you can start over at any moment. Why not today? Leave you with that, my friends. I think again, any last closing words for the audience here? Because I think this is important, especially as everyone starts their journey here into the new year. What keeps them going, when they're feeling weak and feel like quitting?
Yeah, no, you said just right. You said just right.
Well, hey, I appreciate you, always, I love these sessions that we have. And for our audience listening, follow, subscribe, get inspired. Tell us what, we're doing things you like. What are we missing here that we want to get you on or get posted on here? And, again, guys, to your health journey, we're here to support you. Ask us anything and don't make excuses, guys. Get out there and do it now.